I'm going to let you go first, sir.
Oh,
Okay, I think we're going to be pretty close on this one. This movie,
okay.
by the way,
Indiana
again,
Jones and the.
cash or trash, it has
Mm.
to basically make back its full budget. The budget right now is $295 million. Multiply that crap by 2 in order to break even, and you are requiring 590 million just to get to zero. Go, sir.
Oh, this is tough because on the one hand, for the majority of the franchise, Indiana Jones has just been iconic. You will look at the first three films, there's hardly anything that you can say negatively about them. On the other hand, the last time they tried to do something with an elderly Harrison Ford, it didn't work out so well, and there was aliens.
Yes.
And now we're dealing with a much older Indiana Jones, who is apparently still going to be trying to do as much action as possible, which is going to seem very unrealistic for someone as elderly as Ford being.
78, I believe.
But now we're also dealing with the potential of a time travel aspect, where they're going to de-age him for certain scenes. Phoebe Waller-Bridge, I like her, I really do. Um, I don't know if she's going to be taking on the bulk of the action, if that's the case. Kind of like in the same way that Shia LaBeouf should have done as Mutt. But it's one of those movies where it's like, I see how they're trying to get back to the old ways with Indy and trying to like really get that more Last Crusade sort of feel to the cinematography and to the action. And I will go see it. Don't think I won't. But for that kind of a price tag, I don't know if the market is there for it. I mean, Disney will put out enough to actually put in promotion and everything to do what they can for this film. But I don't see it being a blockbuster. I see it just edging as best as possible.
So you think it could break even?
I think it could. I think it could. Because again, it's one of those franchises that has international appeal. Now, yeah, I
Mhm.
say what I said about like Transformers, but even I know it'll make enough money overseas because that's where the Transformers does its best. This, I have to believe, is in the same category simply because this has always been an international jaunt for
Hmm.
movie fans. So, depending on where everything takes place, I know a good portion of it happens in like America and the New York City and everything, but this has always been the movie where you go, hey, they're globetrotting. There's the little plane going to town after town, city after city, country after country. This is adventure at its truest form. I just don't know if the market is there for it anymore. I mean, if that was the case, I think Uncharted would have made a lot more money than it did, but it didn't. And maybe you could say that was like leaning too much on the idea of the video game itself.
Mhm.
But this, I just don't know if it's enough.
It sounds like your heart is hurting right now. You can
It
say
is. It really is. Because
that.
I thought we were like, okay, you know what? He got married in the last movie. He had the kid. Even though they didn't talk about it, and yeah, he tried to grab the hat, and it's like, not yet, kid, and he puts it on himself, but it's one of those movies where it's kind of like, why are you even bothering to make this? The other movies that we talked about, there was a purpose to
Hmm.
why they were being made, but I don't understand why they had to make one more with Harrison Ford. The man already almost died once in a plane, and here you have him doing all this other stuff.
For a Disney franchise, let's not forget.
Yes. I mean, you killed him off already in Star Wars, and, you know,
Uh,
that's the thing. If Harrison Ford doesn't die in some way in this film, if Indy doesn't die, then I don't know what they're doing this for.
well, anything else before I go into my very?
No, I'm already sad enough.
I'm going to be blunt. This is trash. This is not going to. This is going to be a laughable, painful box office bomb, at the end of it, and it will be the sad end to what used to be a fantastic franchise. You know, this time the fridge doesn't save him. Okay, let me say this. Let me back up on this. As an 8-year-old kid, I wanted to be Short Round because I mean, I was an 8-year-old kid when that movie came out. Okay, Dr. Jones, hang on to your potatoes. We love that. Molaram Sularam still freaks out my wife if I ever say it. It's kind of funny. We grew up on that franchise. When they rode off in the sunset, him, Denham Elliott, and John Rhys Davies, and also Sean Connery, that was meant to be the end of the series, end with the trilogy, and what was probably the greatest third movie in a franchise in cinematic history. I think that argument can be made. They came out with the fourth one. All right, fine. They poked fun at his age in that one in a couple of different ways, and in retrospect, was not a terrible movie. It wasn't great. It probably could make the argument could be made a worse one of the four, but I found that Karen Allen bringing her back was fantastic. I loved her, in the first one. I loved her spunk. I loved her heart. I loved her persona. And it was a good end to have them get married at the end of it. I liked that. It wasn't a great movie, but I liked the end there. In this one, they're divorced. The reason that she and Shia LaBeouf's character Mutt are not in the movie is because they are divorced at this point. So that is why he is single, lonely, and sullen. Yeah, I saw the reaction on your face as soon as I said that too. That just stabbed you further in the heart, didn't it? Yes. That is why basically they're not in it because they got divorced at some point, which makes him even more of a douchebag father type, because of all this stuff that went south. In this case, the reason that whatever her name is in it is she is the goddaughter that they have not seen, and he hasn't seen in 18 years. So they're reconnecting on this. This movie, he's 78 years old. I don't know why he agreed to this. It's not like he needs the health insurance for SAG. He just did an entire season of Shrinking with Jason Segel. The Bill Lawrence series with Brett Goldstein, the guys who did Ted Lasso. They did also another series on Apple TV. He is very likely up for an Emmy nomination for Best Supporting Actor for Shrinking. I watched him. He was a delight on that show because he was just playing Harrison Ford. So it's not like he really needed the money at this point or anything, or pull a Christopher Lloyd on Mandalorian thing. He was fine. So he decided to do this in some regard, in some capacity. They're going to do the time travel stuff. The other part of it, reason I believe it's going to fail, is simply because, and I'm going to pull this up right now. That is the current critic review on the movie right now. 47% based on 36 reviews.
30? How is that 36 reviews already out?
Advanced screenings. Believe it or not, actually,
But,
some people have gotten advanced screenings already.
right, but how is it already that there's not like they're allowing reviews a month early?
I don't know, but yeah, I mean, if you see, it's a lot of rough. The adventure, despite stripping itself, feels stimulated and forced. A disappointing facsimile to the much better Indiana Jones films that preceded it. James Mangold stepping in for Steven Spielberg brings the character's adventures to satisfying close. Okay, that was 4 out of 5. It's pretty goofy and laborious over its 142-minute runtime. But a lot of the reviews here are not friendly for this.
Yeah, and this isn't like the last time we were on IMDb or Rotten Tomatoes, where it seemed like it was pretty much just a European
Well, that
crowd
was
or a British
Cleopatra we
crowd.
talked about last week.
There is some locals on there.
But yeah, no, but in this case here, and this is still early. So the original plan, by my understanding, was this was supposed to be a TV, ultimately lead to a TV spinoff regarding Goddaughter, whatever her name is, where she was going to get her own Disney Plus series as the new Indiana Jones.
Which
Clearly,
I
I
don't
do
think
not.
would have really worked, to be honest. I mean, they already just had the National Treasure TV series. Got
That,
canceled for one season.
that died
Nobody
too, yeah.
watched it.
But this was the game plan originally from one of the Bobs. And this movie, like I said, is $295 million at this point because of all the reshoots that went into it, the CGI work, and everything that went into it. I think people will probably praise Harrison Ford for this, and her, whatever her name is. Supposedly, Salah's random cameo is completely unnecessary. There's no real point to that.
Just to show that some of the actors are still alive, I guess.
I guess probably, yeah. I mean, he turned down the role in the fourth movie. So that Ray Winstone character was, I think, originally supposed to be Sallah. But you look at this point, you have had one movie in 34 years, 34 years, you know, and you had 2007, which in and of itself is 16 years ago. So we talked earlier about Transformers. Transformers has had like 5 movies between now and then. This one, nothing. And because of the fact that he is now a sullen, broken down old man who is apparently getting bossed around a lot by this character, whatever her name is, um, it's a lot of, even the critics aren't happy with it, just because of the fact that a lot of them grew up on this franchise as well. People like me, I mean, Last Crusade was one of the greatest movies we ever saw. I saw that movie in theaters. That was a perfect send off in so many ways. And I remember in the days following, me and my father talked about what, how the ending could have been. And he was always like, Sean Connery could have stayed back, with the guy from the Crusades. And I'm like, no, he could not do that. And we went back and forth on this in a fun way. But it brought back so many memories. And now look at it. I mean, the dude's 78. And what isn't helping, and this is my last bit on this, is the fact that James Mangold is going after critic reviews right now. And he's going after YouTubers. He's trolling them directly for criticizing. He's doing that thing where they trash the bad reviews. And that's not going to help because, like I said, they will unite. YouTubers will unite in protecting their own.
They're
Sorry.
divorced.
I feel like I hurt you, man. I'm sorry.
Why did they get divorced? They were a perfect couple.
I both want to
Why?
Oh, I'm so sorry, Ryan. But this one hurts me too.
My heart.
I know, dude. I had the book. I used to play the Indiana Jones arcade game, the Temple of Doom arcade game at Ground Round when I was a kid. And I had the Game Gear game for Last Crusade. I had the Atari game, which was just probably back at my parents' house. The
Damn it,
Atari
my
game,
birthday's tomorrow. I don't need this pain.
The original Raiders, the Atari game. I had it. I beat it. And then to end the franchise like this, it's going to hurt Disney's legacy even further, just like they did with Star Wars. Just like they've done kind of with Marvel. They're taking these IP Willow. They're taking these internet.
Yeah, the Lucasfilm side of everything is really getting the pooch screwed on this.
Yeah, these intellectual properties are being milked for quick, immediate cash. And it's not just that. It's even stuff like, Little Mermaid is apparently getting dumped on right now, for lacking the magic of the original. Halle Bailey, they're giving credit to and saying she's done well. The acting is good, but it's just bland, and that's unfortunately Disney's thing.
Well, yeah, we all knew that was probably going to be like a scene-for-scene remake. I mean, that's pretty much how the remakes have been. You either go too far or you stay too safe, but...
The chef apparently is not in the movie, from my understanding. I could be wrong, though.
Well, that's completely fine. I mean, that was more done for fun anyway. I mean, I don't think
Rene
anyone's going to want to
Auberjonois,
see a psycho chef cutting up all the fish.
Years before Odo.
But...
I heard something. But yeah, I unequivocally, in this case, this is going to be trash.
It's just, I don't see why Disney is doing this. Especially when Disney is already going to have a movie out. Not just this week, but they have another movie out earlier in the month. They have Elemental coming out in the same month. So, they're hurting themselves. They are literally putting out so much that they're going to cannibalize their own, take-in.
Oh, yeah. It's quick cash now to keep the stock prices up.
Oh, my God.
Yeah.
I'm not saying it won't win the weekend, but... Oh, boy, Disney,
it might
come
win
on.
Listen, it might... I remember looking at it. Yeah, I believe it will. Just because I don't believe there's any real competition going on that weekend. And it's
the only other thing that weekend would be Ruby Gillman Teenage Kraken from DreamWorks.
Kind of don't think those two are going to conflict much.
Well, there is something to be said for counter programming. We've seen where it can be successful, and I'm guessing the budget on that thing is probably way less than the budget for Dial of Destiny. So that actually there may be a fun turnaround where that might win the weekend with families more so than this movie
Could
wins
you
the weekend.
imagine? Oh, dude.
Well, here's the thing: DreamWorks is a studio you can rely on for
Mhm.
sure. And yes, it's not any sequel to any of their other franchises like Kung Fu Panda or How to Train Your Dragon, but they have the track record.
Exactly.
And this is something that's going to speak to a younger audience, which is probably going to be young girls having their families bring them to it. And I do have to say, the funny idea that this is a Kraken who has to take on a beautiful mermaid because everyone loves mermaids, but they're really evil. That is a little tongue in cheek to Disney. I'm not gonna
Yeah.
lie. That is an interesting premise. I can see why they're only putting it like a month away from the Little Mermaid release and not like right after because that would almost be a little bit too much. But marketing wise, that is some good timing. And it's very possible that if you get enough families to go see that movie, which is honestly probably going to be like 30 minutes shorter, if not an hour shorter than Indiana Jones, you could see an upset.
Yeah. Indiana Jones came, I just read that, came in at 140, 2 hours 22.
Yeah.
You know,
Whereas Ruby Gillman, I can only imagine is going to be like an hour and a half.
I was going to say 89 minutes would be my guess. Yeah.
Yeah.
But, you know,
So
but,
yeah, it depends on the audience.
well, I think the problem with Indiana Jones 5 is the fact that the people would be most interested in seeing it are people like me who don't usually go to the theaters much anymore. Would be like, wait for it to hit, hit Disney or HBO,
Right.
you
It's
know.
going to be like either the hardcore movie people or it's going to be the fans of Indiana Jones like that. I don't see the younger audience all the world round going to this in flock.
Hmm.
But if you go get a young enough audience, if you get like those pre-tween kids, and then the mother or someone has to come with them or something like that, yeah, you're absolutely getting like more people for your money at a much faster return of like get in the theater, get out the theater.
Hmm.
So who
Yeah.
knows?
I don't know, but this, like I said, this is a sad end to a franchise, which we haven't even talked about Young Indiana Jones Chronicles, and the impact of that. So,
I mean,
yeah.
there's still going to be like other movies coming out over the week, over the time of the month. You're gonna the Boogeyman if you want something that's horror
Mhm.
based, which I don't think there's any other horror, depending on your own perspective on Indiana Jones or scary movies.
Mola Ram scared the snot out of us as a kid, though.
Yeah, you have
The first
Elemental, like
day.
I said, which is also going to be good for kids, and that's coming out on the 16th, the same weekend as The Flash. You got Asteroid City,
Hmm.
which is the another quirky sort of like what's his face uh why can't I remember his name?
I don't know. I'm not going to help you with this one,
Grand
Cohort.
Budapest Hotel, Steve Zissou,
Aquatic.
Moonrise
Oh,
Kingdom,
what's that? What's the last one?
Moonrise Kingdom,
Well, Steve's is.
The French Dispatch.
Owen
God,
Wilson, Willem Dafoe, Jeff Goldblum, Noah
why am I
Baumbach,
blanking on the filmmaker's name? He's the one that makes all of his movies roughly look the same way.
Wes Anderson. Wes Anderson.
There
Oh
we
yeah,
go. Well,
yeah.
yes, that's the new Wes Anderson. So I mean, there may be enough movie people for that, sure. And then obviously there's that No Hard Feelings with Jennifer,
Hmm.
and that looks funny because that just looks like a return to like kind of like pervy adult kind of comedy with a heart, which you don't see in theaters more often. You see them on like Netflix, but
Hmm.
it's Jennifer. I mean, she looks hot enough. People will go for that alone. So there's enough alternate viewing for these other movies that there may be some people that are just like, you know what, I'm not spending that much time at the theater. Let me see one of these other things that is shorter, that may fly under the radar, that may be of better quality without all the money.
Hmm.
And that's really the problem. Summer is supposed to be for blockbusters, but you know what? When the blockbusters look lackluster, which that could have been the other title,
That lackluster
blockbuster or
blockbuster. Oh
lackluster,
yeah, it would work too. Hey.
then there are alternatives that also look decent. It's not
Hmm.
like The only other movies coming out are like, small independent dramas about like, an old lady playing dominoes or something. I don't know.